Good morning and welcome to another episode of the Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV. I am Nick Metallinos, and of course, as always, we are brought to you by our good friends at topsport.com.au. Now it is Friday morning. That means we are once again joined by old mate BK, Benyam Kidane from NBA Australia. BK, what's happening, mate?
I'm doing good, my man. How you living?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. You know, it's the days are they're getting longer. We're getting more sunshine. We're getting a little bit of heat down here in Melbourne over the last few days. So I'm good. It's good.
Hey, outside.
We've got a lot to talk about today. Some good news that we just saw this morning a little bit earlier. The NBA Rookie of the Month has been announced for October and November for the East and the West. And for the Western Conference, it is old mate Josh Giddey. So big congratulations to Josh Giddey for winning the Rookie of the Month. Evan Mobley winning it over in the East for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They've pretty much been the two, if not best, I want to say at least the two most consistent rookies, haven't they, BK?
Yeah, I mean, Mobley missed a couple of games there with injury, but he's been great night in, night out for the Cavaliers, and Giddey. He's only sat out one game so far this season, and when you look at the other rookies in the Western Conference, it's guys like Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun in Houston as well. I mean, a lot of the higher picks are out in the Eastern Conference, and Josh Giddey in terms of the Western Conference guys definitely has been the most consistent. So a nice little reward for him, first Aussie since Ben Simmons to win a Rookie of the Month award.
Yeah, and you said he's only missed that one game, and it was yesterday's game. He had flu symptoms, I believe, so it's nothing to do with COVID. So he hasn't entered any health and safety protocols, but he did miss that game with some flu symptoms. BK, let's go around the NBA. There were some great games yesterday. Now, first episode of the show, I said I was going to talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo a lot this season, and I've spoken about him a little bit, but I haven't really gone overboard. I want to talk about Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks and what they did yesterday. Giannis had an almost 40-point triple-double, 40 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, the game-winning layup as well. Milwaukee have now won 8 straight since being 6-8, back in the top half and looking very, very dangerous.
Yesterday was one of those games where after LaMelo hit that three and then Giannis went straight down the other end in what felt like 2 strides and hit that reverse layup. It was one of those, oh, that's right, this guy is completely unguardable type of game. What are you supposed to do when a guy does that with 5 seconds on the clock, takes it all the way down the other end and gets the dub? That's a big time win and a big time performance from Giannis as well. 8 straight. The Bucks are coming. They started off.
I'm telling you, they're coming.
They started off slow, but that wasn't necessarily because they were playing bad. It was just the injuries and the lineup inconsistency. What I am interested in though, with this 8-game winning streak, Brook Lopez now looks like he's going to spend some time out with an injury. It's DeMarcus Cousins' time. This is why they signed him.
Guy.
I didn't think it was going to matter till the playoffs. It matters in game 2 for Boogie.
Who says the regular season does not matter? These things are big for Milwaukee Bucks. Another big game yesterday was the Houston Rockets. There was some big numbers scored in this game from both sides. Jae'Sean Tate, former Sydney King, career high night for him, 32 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists and 5 blocks. Only the 10th player in history to put up those kind of numbers. The only other perimeter player to do so has been Dwayne Wade, and Tate was the first player since Cat in 2018 to do so. What did you make of the former NBL player there?
The one that jumped out at me was the 5 blocks. I mean, this guy is undersized, playing in the paint, but it's just his energy and activity. This guy is going after everything. And that just kind of bred the confidence on the other side of the floor. When you're swatting dudes left and right at the rim, they were feeding him. They were looking for him. He was confident from the jump, and he wasn't playing with any hesitation. I'm excited to see what he can do this season, because there's points to be scored in Houston. Obviously Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. Have the ball in their hands a ton, but inside, he's kind of carving out a nice role for him, because he is kind of that little bit of a tweener. He's undersized, but he has such nice post moves for a guy who isn't necessarily that tall to be able to get into the paint with that footwork. I really like Jae'Sean Tate. He's a very, very fun player for the Rockets.
Yeah, and head coach Stephen Silas said after the game that, look, they were trying to ride the hot hand, basically. So they were trying to get him, more involved, obviously, as the game went on. Another big performance yesterday was LaMelo Ball, actually. 36 points, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's a career high for him, isn't it? BK?
That is, yeah.
Yeah. So career high, 36 points. He had 9 and 5 to go along with that. We've spoken about this, and I'm going to continue to say it. He just looks so composed for a second-year player. The way he just sort of orchestrates that team. He knows when to attack. He knows when to sort of pull back a little bit. He's running that pick and roll really well. He's got some guys that are really suited to his game as well. What did you make from LaMelo Ball yesterday?
Like you said, it's just the level of comfort and poise that really stands out. And, when you're down by 3 with under 10 seconds to go against the defending champs and you just so confidently walk into a 3-pointer, he hit 8 triples last night. That's a career high for him as well. It was cool to see Muggsy Bogues on the Hooper Vision broadcast with Jamal Crawford and Quentin Richardson last night. They were, Bogues was very, very complimentary of LaMelo in terms of not only the future, but potentially being an all-star this year. And just the way that he kind of brings his whole team together to now be sort of going toe-to-toe with Giannis in a close game. It kind of just shows you how much he's grown. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he's an all-star selection, especially with that fan vote. LaMelo's got fans.
Yeah, that's a good shout, BK. That fan vote always, we've seen some crazy numbers for some people that, you would never think could ever be in all-star contention.
Lakers Nation nearly had Caruso in the all-star game.
Yeah. So the fan vote is definitely carries some weight. BK, I was looking at the standings yesterday, both across the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference, right? Now, if you look at the Eastern Conference, top 11 sides in the East are all 500 or better, right? Philly's in 11th at 11-11. The West is kind of similar. The top 10 are 500 or better. 11th is Denver, and they're at 10-11. So they're only one game below 500. We don't usually see this in the NBA, especially from the Eastern Conference. The Eastern Conference has been pretty bad for, many, many years, at least, from the bottom half down. Is this the most parity we've had in the NBA, BK, for a long, long time?
Well, normally in years gone by in the Eastern Conference, sitting under 500 could sneak you into that 8 seed. But those days look like they're behind us. But I think you're 100% right. You look at the teams that have kind of climbed into the fold this season. There's got, you look at teams like the Wizards, the Hornets, even the Chicago Bulls. Like those are all teams that are really good this season and will be playoff teams. So I think that race for the play-in seeds in both conferences is really going to matter this season, because you're going to have a lot of good teams that maybe have gotten out to slow starts, that are suffering injury losses through the regular season. That there will be some very good teams down there in the in those sort of 6 to 8, 9, 10 kind of zones. So it's going to be a fun race towards the postseason. I'm a fan of the play-in tournament. I like the juice it adds to the end of the regular season.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't like it in the beginning, actually. I was like, oh, what are we doing? It seemed like a little bit of a gimmick to me. But then I saw it actually in action last year. And look, as a person who, when I was in the US and obviously I was covering the NBA night in, night out, going to arenas, it is a long season. And I was one of those people that was just like, towards the end of the season, I was like, these games have no meaning to them. So it does have, it's brought that sort of importance to those games now, because as you get into the late March, early April, and the regular season has really taken its toll, it does add that importance and that little bit of fun factor to that as well. BK, one of those teams that may be in the play-in, maybe not, but that's what we're going to discuss right now, is actually the Minnesota Timberwolves, BK. I did a radio appearance yesterday and they asked me about the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they said to me, do you think they can make the playoffs? And I actually said no, right? But if we take a look at the Minnesota Timberwolves, 11-11 on the season right now, 7-3 in their last 10. They lost to the Wizards last year. Haven't made the playoffs since 2018. BK, their 3 best players, Anthony Edwards, Cat, and D'Angelo Russell, averaging about 65 points combined between the 3 of them. They look like they've got a nice young core, good chemistry as well this season, which we haven't really seen a lot of from the Timberwolves, over the last few seasons. Can they make the playoffs, BK?
I honestly don't think that's crazy. And that's a lot to do with Anthony Edwards, because he just looks like he gets better with every single game that he plays. And in terms of a fit next to Karl Anthony Towns, he's kind of just taken over the leadership of that team. Towns is a great player. It's not necessarily, he's not the guy that's yelling at people and sort of setting the tone. He's more of a lead by example guy, whereas Anthony Edwards has really taken that mantle in terms of leading this team. It's going to be tough. I could honestly see them maybe getting in via the play-in tournament just because they're so inconsistent. We've seen them go on winning streaks, losing streaks this season. So if they can put something together and maybe let those 4 or 5 game losing streaks go, it wouldn't surprise me if they're a team that sneaks in, via the 8, 9, or 10 seed.
That's part of the reason why I said they wouldn't make the playoffs, because they have been so inconsistent. And I just feel like this group's still learning how to win together. But if you look at their next few games now, well, the next 4 anyway, is the Nets, Hawks, Jazz, and Cavs are up over the next 4. The last 3 of those games are at home. So, that's some good teams that they're going to be facing over there. If they can maybe get 2 or 3 wins out of that, I might look at that and say, okay, they're sort of starting to figure it out now. BK, my next question to you about that is, if we get closer to the trade deadline, the Wolves are kind of hanging around those spots, 7th, 8th, 9th, do you think that they make a trade and try bring in an established veteran at the trade deadline? And when I say that, I don't mean giving up one of their core guys either. Maybe a guy like, I don't know, Malik, Beasley or Torian Prince or somebody like that, to bring in another more established veteran that can help them.
Hey, free John Wall, let's go. This is his time. But if they're in the hunt for the postseason, I mean, you said 2018 was the last time that they made it. Before then, it was like 100 years before they made the playoffs. Though they had been out of the playoffs since the Kevin Garnett era. So for them, if you have a chance of making the playoffs, especially on this young team, you want to give them a taste of that success early. So if they're in a position where they could realistically make a run at the postseason, I'd do it if I'm the Timberwolves. I mean, they've got Towns on a big deal. They've got Russell on a big deal, but no one else is really making a ton of money. They can absorb some salary that way, whilst you've still got Anthony Edwards on a rookie deal and maybe try and make a push that way.
Yeah, look, I said yesterday, like I said, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I will reserve judgment on that. I do want to see what they're going to, serve up over the next 3-4 games and see if they can get a little bit of that consistency going. But I do love the Minnesota Timberwolves young core. I think they're exciting and they're fun to watch. BK, let's take a look at some of the games that we've got going on today. Some really good games as well. We've got the Milwaukee Bucks against the Toronto Raptors, $1.52 favorites. The Bucks, Toronto Raptors, $2.67. The line's at 4.5. Totals at 2.16. That one's live on NBA League Pass. BK, the Bucks are playing the second night of a back-to-back, riding that win streak into Toronto. Now, I said last week, I've learned off you, and I'm not going to pick against Toronto at home, but I'm picking Milwaukee tonight. I think they're going to win a close one.
Yeah, I'm going to contradict myself, and I'm going to pick against the Toronto Raptors at home. Let's go 9 on the trot for Giannis.
Yeah, they're playing so well at the moment. Giannis is playing incredible. I just cannot pick against the Bucks right now. Another team that I said I would not be picking is my New York Knicks, and they're playing the Bulls tonight. The Bulls are $1.81 favorite. The Knicks $2.07. The line's at 2. The total's at 2.10. Again, live on NBA League Pass. BK, this one is at MSG. The Knicks, they've hurt me too much. I think the Bulls are going to win this one. Again, in a close one. I think this one's going to be a close one, actually.
You don't believe in the Alec Burks regime? He's coming through a point guard starting in place of Kemba Walker, who's completely out of the rotation for the Knicks.
Yeah, look, I like Alec Burks, and I think he's provided some really great minutes, but I just don't have confidence in the rest of the Knicks.
Yeah, look, they were impressive against the Brooklyn Nets yesterday in a pretty tight contest. They probably felt like they could have won that game, but ultimately they just fell short. So I I like the Knicks at MSG just based off what I saw from them in the last couple of games. That win against the Hawks a couple of days prior, but I'm down with the DeMar DeRozan MVP campaign, so I'm a rock with the Bulls as well.
Yeah, well, the Knicks record at MSG is actually just 5-6. They have a losing record at home, so make of that what you will. Next game up, we're going to take a look at is the Thunder and the Grizzlies. Grizzlies, big favorites here, $1.20. Oklahoma City paying $5. The line's at 11. The total is at 209. Again, this is a league pass game. Josh Giddey won't be playing. Derek Favors likely also out. No Ja Morant for Memphis. I think the money's right, bang on this one here. I think Memphis win.
Yeah, I'm not betting against the Memphis Grizzlies in this one. I think they'll win this one pretty easily, especially without Josh Giddey. What are the Thunder going to do?
No rookie of the month, no hope for Oklahoma City.
Well, shout out to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's been hooping the last couple of weeks.
He has. But look, we're going to stick with our Aussie guy there. Last game we're going to take a look at here. We've got the Pistons at the Suns. Suns, again, big favorites here, $1.14. Pistons, $6.50. Lines at 12, totals at 208, and another league pass game. BK, the Suns will extend their 17-game winning streak here. The Pistons have lost 7 in a row. I see no reason why the Suns don't win this very, very comfortably.
Hey, look, Devin Booker said it. No loss November. It's turning into all dubs December. I'm not betting against the Suns here. They may never lose again.
They may never lose again. I love it. That's a big call.
They're going 78-3 or whatever the math works out to be. 4.
I love it. I wouldn't put money on that happening, though, for anyone watching. So do not listen to BK on that one there. Look, BK, that's all we've got time for in today's episode. You're going to be back on Monday morning. We're going to have a lot to talk about. Some big games in the NBA over the weekend. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. This has been the Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV, brought to you by our good friends at topsport.com.au, and we'll see you guys on Monday.